Super. Okay, I think we're ready. Welcome everyone to SEO Office Hours. My name is Michael Chidzey. I'm an SEO here at Good Signals. And part of what we do, along with special guests, are these office hour sessions where people can jump in and ask their questions around their website and web search. By the way, nobody here is in the hot seat and we might not know all the answers, but multiple heads thinking about a problem should help. We've had a bunch of questions submitted already, as you can see, which we'll go through. But if there's anybody here live on the call who would like to ask any questions, please feel free to flag yourself in the chat functionality, which will be monitored. Also, there's usually a bunch of other SEOs live on the call that share their ideas, experiences, and perspectives. I personally think that's one of the best things about office hours, isn't just hearing from the four of us, but also everybody else. So please feel free to do that because it's just amazing. Like always, with me today is Juliana Turnbull, also known as SEO Joe Blogs. Morning.
Hello, Mike. Morning, and welcome everyone for joining us. Thank you so much. We've got 21 of us today. I said a hello to Mike and Rob. We've had a few more people joining. We've got Jonathan, we've got Francisca, Jack. Thank you all for coming today. I think we've got 5 countries so far dialing in from. So we have UK, China, Pakistan, Switzerland, Germany, and Spain. Actually, that's 6. If you are dialing from another country, please drop that in the notes. We've got very international SEO office hours so far. And thank you very much, Mike, for organizing the SEO office hours. Today is our 71st episode. Woohoo! That's supposed to be like, yay!
We need like an audience kind of.
Yeah, like you have in those sitcoms. As Mike said, I'm Juliana Turnbull, and I've been co-hosting the show. We've now done it for nearly 2 years. And I organized Search Barcelona. Our last event actually was this last Tuesday, where we have one of our special guests, David. He was actually speaking at the event. So thank you, David, for that. And we have also Natalia here on the show today. Welcome back, Natalia and David, to the SEO office hours.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Yes, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
So I wanted to give a brief intro to both of them. So Natalia is actually dialing in from China today. She's over there for a few months. She is working with, and she's an international SEO expert, and she's working at Jedmon Digital. She is actually a trilingual international SEO consultant, and she's the CEO of Mosquito Digital. And she works for Chinese consulting branch. Sorry, she consults for Chinese brands that are entering Europe, the US, and Latin America. And while over in, she's learning about Baidu, SEO, DeepSeek, and also WeChat ecosystems. Natalia will be speaking at Google Central Live, Google Search Central Live in Bangkok on July 23rd. It's actually at 23rd, 24th, and 25th. And you'll be talking about Google Search Console for international SEO. Congrats on speaking at that conference.
Thank you to anyone at Google who picked my pitch and for this opportunity. It's a challenge to make a talk you normally give in 20 minutes into 7-minute talk. So I'm still struggling with that, but I'm also respectful of the guidelines of speakers. So I'm going to do my best to be exactly on the 7-minute mark. And yeah, excited for that event and excited to be in China and learn about SEO beyond Google.
Well, many congratulations for that. We will be looking to hear how it is, how it went. And I've just put in the chat how to connect with Natalia. You can do that through LinkedIn. And I'd like to take a moment to introduce David. So David Carrasco Pamies, he is an SEO consultant. He focuses on growth. He's got over a decade of experience in SEO. He creates strategy for a wide range of projects. He was also the CEO of a Spanish tool company that he founded and sold. And this helped him to learn about team and business management as well. He's currently a freelance SEO, he's a trainer and content creator. David will be at Google Search Central Live in Bangkok as well, and he'll be talking about Beyond the Search Box, SEO for today's chaotic customer journey. Many congratulations, David, for speaking at Google Search Central.
Thank you so much. It will be a pleasure too. I really have a lot of fear, but I'm really nervous, and I didn't know it was only 7 minutes, Natalia. So yeah, I have to make some changes to my talk. I just want to say thank you to all of you that are here, and Michael and Juliana, and I would like to send lots of love to Mark that is around here. Yeah, lots of love.
Thank you, David. Yes, thank you for that, and sending lots of support and love to Mark as well. I appreciate everyone being here today on our SEO office hours. We've got loads of questions to come through today. If you have any questions, please do write them in the chat. We will come back to them, and I will share actually at the moment now more information about Google Search Central Live. Apologies, there is no tickets left, but there will be more Google Search Central Live in other locations around the world. So without further ado, I'll pass back over to Mike.
Great. Okay, let's just jump straight in. The first question, we've been given a website, and for those of you on YouTube, it's I guess it's like an e-commerce store, but for fruits, for food. Joe will send the link now for those that are here on the live call, but I'm not sure if we're allowed to actually say on YouTube. So they've sent us their link and they've said, we've been working with an SEO agency for a little while now, but when I run a check in Ahrefs, I'm just using the free version. I'm seeing quite a few alerts and issues coming up. I flagged it with the agency, but they don't seem too concerned. I'm not sure how serious any of this is, or if I should be pushing harder on it. Do you have any thoughts? And if you also have any ideas on how I can improve traffic, I'm all ears. Thanks in advance. Super. Who would like to kick off? Natalia, go for it. Amazing.
I've had a bit of time to have a look at the website. So I did check it. Now, I did not use Ahrefs because that's not the account I use. I've used SEMrush, but it's equivalent level of detail and information. So I think we can, with some certainty, say it's good enough to look there. And I have to say, I think your agency did quite an okay job because your website had zero visibility up until this January. It looks like the domain is tweaking you anyway. And as of January, it just has a very stable, healthy increase in visibility in first keywords that start ranking. And actually, some of the main keywords are already on the first page of Google results for like exotic fruit basket and stuff like that. So I think decent job. I've looked at some optimizations and I've compared also the website with the web archive to see how it used to look like. It looks like it's been almost redesigned completely because the version that last was added to the web archive is from a year ago, and there's not many landing pages. Everything just centers around the homepage only. And now at the current version, we do have specific pages that are ranking actually for specific keywords. So I wouldn't scrutinize that agency too much. However, I have to say, I don't know how much of that change in the design and improvements in the content have been done by you before you hired the agency, or have been consulted with the agency or suggested by the agency itself. It also might be that your changes that you've done, regardless of SEO, have had SEO impact. But yeah, on top level view, without knowing what the agency planned to do and did, but looking at how the website is doing in visibility graphs, it's doing okay.
Amazing. David, did you have anything else to add?
I don't know if I would add anything else because I agree totally with Natalia. I checked the site with Sistrix, hello Steve, and I think that they were doing quite a good job because they are getting visibility and they have good position for their main keywords. I also checked with Screaming Frog and I really didn't see anything important, so I guess the agency has other work to do. Maybe just to add something, maybe here we have some lack of communication because it's clear the client has some concerns. So I would recommend them to address them. I think they need some explanation and better communication. Maybe they don't have a clear roadmap for the project, but otherwise I think they are doing a good job overall.
Amazing. Joe, do you have anything to add?
I would just say great what Natalia and David have mentioned already, but they've said I've seen quite a few alerts and issues. So I would just try and get clarification what that is, because perhaps maybe what as alert is nothing to be concerned with. Maybe it's a way, maybe some tools are saying, oh, this is an alert, but sometimes it's it's a low priority, or it's just something that's telling you what the status of it and there's nothing to do. So I would just discuss with your agency, and as David said, it may be more of sort of a communication or education piece, really, to find out what they're doing and what you expect those results to be.
Amazing. Yeah, it also depends on how much time this agency has. If they don't have that much time, maybe they're prioritizing the things that they think would matter in terms of content. And the things that seem to be working, in David and Natalia said, I looked at the site, it seems to be growing at a nice steady rate, which is great. It looks like you've only been in business for about 6 months. So that's, I think you're doing really well. Simon mentioned that you're ranking number 2 for like a quite a high volume and relevant term. So I think that's great. And you just hopefully you've got a really good business. I think that sometimes with SEO, it does take a bit longer, and that can be quite frustrating if you're a business or website owner, but providing you keep growing at that rate. The only one extra recommendation I could probably add is that I've noticed you've started ranking, as in your product pages have started ranking for some more generic terms, which is amazing. Natalia picked up on that. Where you've got multiple products, sometimes it's quite nice to have a really good category page, so you avoid kind of confusion on which ones to pick when they're very similar products, just to consolidate a little bit. So for instance, dragon fruits, you've got goodness knows how many different versions of that. And as a human looking at that, I wouldn't know which one to pick. So I don't quite know how Google knows which one to pick. So sometimes making like a page where you link out to all of those different products can help. But to be honest, I agree. I think your agency is doing a good job. Keep them, and yeah, and hopefully you'll keep growing at that rate. Joe, is there anything in the chat?
We do. Yes, we have got some comments here. We've got, from Simon, as you mentioned as well. Simon also says, watch the trends rather than the details, what's going on. We also have John saying that maybe it doesn't look like there's any sort of shopping results. Just if that person is here, you can have a look at the link that John just shared. And I think that's it, actually. So I think we're over to the next question.
Super. Okay, so this question is about whether Google can read and crawl some embedded content. And they've given us a link. Joe, I guess you'll share that on there. And they just want to know, can we tell them how much of that content Google can actually read? Did anybody get a chance to look at this one? No? Yes, possibly? Go for it.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not really a specialist here, but I checked a little bit of the site, and we have to think that Google's ability to process iframes have advanced. Googlebot cannot thus scroll content within iframes. The process involves using a headless browser and so on. But Google's own webmaster guidelines recommend avoiding the use of iframes to display content. And the content, if you use the content from another site, that it's their content. So if you use it for SEO purposes, the SEO credit belongs to the source. With that said, in the case of my math clouds cheat sheet, Google can likely read only the visible, but they have a restricted area, so they won't be able to get there. I would recommend to use Search Console, the URLs inspection tool, to check it, to see what they see, and see if they can get some more information about it.
Okay, great. For what it's worth, I think they actually don't want Google to be able to read this, because looking at the page, I don't know whether this is a PDF of something they're selling. And so I would, Jordan's mentioned about looking in Google Search Console to see what Google can see. I would inspect the page and do the same thing, because I can see they've got some sort of stamp covering the actual content. And so I'm assuming that's what they're concerned about. Joe, do you have anything to add, or Natalia?
No, well, it was just... Sorry, no,
go ahead.
Say that if you, it doesn't look like they want to. I think maybe they want to see what can see, because yes, it's a gated content, and that's totally fine, because you should be paying for this piece of information. So I agree with what you have said, David.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, because I think it's really interesting to have this kind of perspective that what Google confirms they can process doesn't mean it's the only thing they can process, because obviously Google's advancing technically and trying to understand the web better and better. So I wouldn't trust solely on the fact that Googlebot is able to or not to defend that content. I'd rather use more kind of scrutinous methods to block it if we really don't want Google to access it. And also other bots, because it's not just Googlebot, and AI is going crazy, learning about everything it can, and it's increasing its capability as well. So I would say maybe implement another layer of kind of security there, maybe response code blocking on the server level or something like that, just to be really sure if you don't want Google to see it or other bots to see it.
But anyway, here, Googlebot is more advanced in these capabilities than other bots. But yeah, you're right.
Great, amazing advice. Joe, do we have anything in the chat before we jump to the next question?
No, we do not. Let's go to the next question. Oh, wait,
Okay.
1 second. Yeah, someone said, oh, I just, out of curiosity, I just crawled the URL and I got 301 -/. Actually, Sam was talking about using the web developer Chrome extension and turn off CSS, and then you can get an idea of what the content is on that page. Oh, Jonathan said, I just curled the URL and got 301. Maybe you can confirm on that one, Jonathan. But basically, oh, he shared it in the chat. So if you have asked this question, Jonathan has actually just shared it there.
Great. Super. Okay, next question. AI, I'll start again, sorry. AI mode has been live in the US for over a month now. I haven't been able to access it myself yet. What are your initial observations and thoughts? And we had another question last week about just what's clickable in AI mode as well. Who's been having a play with AI mode? Has anybody? Go for it, Natalia.
Since I'm forced to use a VPN for my daily work anyway, I might have as well gone and used the US one to have a look. And I think it's really important to say, and I think John here in the audience will agree, it's still very experimental. It's very dynamic. It's not something we should just take at its shape and form as it is now. So I would say it's fun to play with. It's hard to figure out any correlations with normal rankings or normal search because we just don't have enough data or information. But I would just say connect to any VPN that allows you to go to the US and just try it because it's really the user experience more than maybe ranking topic. And it's very hard to explain user experience in words, but it's good. It's okay. It's not amazing yet, I believe, but I think it's gonna get there when the product is ready. That's my answer.
That's a very good summary. I would say in this case, use the data that's out. There have been studies already that have been talking about what is Google AI mode, how does it compare to Google search. Actually, I'm doing a webinar July 22nd about it, and we're going to be talking about the data that was collected, that we collected at Semrush. This is a very interesting piece of research, and you can have a look and see how does it compare to the Google search. But as Natalia said, this is all new. This was announced May 21st at Google I/O. It's barely been 8 weeks. If you have a VPN, go in and play around with it, as Natalia said, but also read up. There's a lot of people that have been writing some studies about this so far. See what's there out there. But I would say, yeah, it will be changing the way that we are searching and probably the way that we report also on traffic.
Great. Have you had a play at all with it yet?
Yeah, I have tried it a little bit, and I can really not add anything new about it. The only thing is we still don't know how the user would react and how they will interact with this AI mode. And it can be convenient for users, but for us, it means it will be a challenge for website traffic and so on. And yes, we have less data, a lot of personalizations, and Google is testing a lot more than ever. And we have new studies every day, so you just have to be up to date and see how it goes.
Yeah, and I'd also like to say, actually, so Jeff mentioned that Mark Williams Cook, he did a breakdown of how to access it. So thank you very much, Jeff, for that.
Amazing, great answers. I've also had a play with it using a VPN. I've got a few clients that are based in different places, so I'm often also on a VPN. And yeah, to be honest, I really like it. It's great. I particularly like along the right, you get almost like related articles to your queries and what you're talking about. And I see that as a really good opportunity. But like Natalia said, it's really early days. So maybe the interface and stuff will change. But yeah, I've had a play and I think it's too early to start. There's lots of stuff online around, will it become the new default and all of that stuff. I think it's too early to talk about that. But I think from what I've seen, I've really liked it. And it feels quite different to the sort of more traditional search results. There's also some really good articles online. You've got, I think it was the Salt Agency, they shared a post about them testing it. That was a couple of weeks ago. And then Barry Adams wrote one that was more about around the sort of publisher side of things. And his kind of verdict was quite similar, that actually what's quite nice about it is you don't get all the pop-ups and all of that stuff that you might get on some of those websites. But I'll share those in the chat. Joe, do we have any comments?
Or Jordan said, I've seen screenshots of 10 blue links on AI mode. There's hope. I would say with this, as we've said, it's very new. So I would also like to stress the importance that give ourselves time, not to like rush into anything, look at the data, see what's out there, give ourselves time to also have a play, and then just be aware that this is going to be a way of some users searching for your brand and product, because obviously it's not available in all countries at the moment.
Super cool. Well, yeah, we'll see where that goes. It's not even in the UK yet. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, this next question, this is a bit of a personal one. Has anybody here worked with a coach or mentor in our space? I've seen a few with hefty price tags. Are they worth it? Would love to hear some real experiences if you're open to sharing. Who would like to kick off? Joe, you were nodding. Why don't you go?
Yeah, because I think that this question of mentorship, I think we need to have that earlier on in our careers, and that's sort of when we're forming. And I think maybe because of the price tag, people think, oh, I'll do it when I'm like a C-level. Mentorship is very important for career development and personal development too. I'm a big advocate of this. Yes, it can be expensive, but I would say look and see who you can afford. And if you can be part of some communities where they are doing mentorship cohorts, you don't need to necessarily pay, but they are getting funding from other companies. So I was lucky enough to be part of the Women in Tech SEO mentor course cohort, where I was mentor, but I was also mentee. But of course, they were funding this through sponsorships. I would say in terms of mentorship or coach, you just make sure to see what you need basically help with, because a coach is different to a mentor, and a mentor is also different to a teacher. And I think people can sometimes get confused about it. I really recommend, actually, before going down that route, that people do, it's called the Clifton Strengths Finder test, or Clifton Strengths test. And it allows you to see what your natural abilities are, or your natural, if you're more of a strategic person. And when you work on that, they become like your talents. And then you focus on that. You have your top 5 talents. And this is a different way of thinking, because it allows you to actually work on your strengths. Whereas maybe when you're at school or in a formal education, or even of course at work, people say what you're not good at and you have to work on that, instead of actually looking and focusing on your strengths. So I've just shared it in the chat, and this actually helps you to improve your personal as well as professional life. Over 35 million people have actually used it, and they've seen significant increases to, or positive contributions to, personal and work life as well. So have a look at that. If you can take it from $60 US, but if you're at a company, see if they can actually put it for yourself. There is a one for students as well. It's $25. Yeah, have a look and see what you can get from that.
Amazing. Natalia, what about you? Do you have any thoughts?
I have some thoughts from a very specific perspective, which is the fact that I also offer some SEO coaching services, but this is not a root flag of my services. I don't want anyone to come and just pay. I just want to say that in some cases, people come to me because they're looking for a job and they want to feel like they have a mock interview and get feedback. In other times, they want personal training. And I think it's really important to understand, what would you like to get from coaching? I think mentorship could be better, if not as good, in most of the cases. And if it's something very specific you really want to work on, probably finding the right person is more important than the price tag. And most people will probably, if you are in some kind of community, might even offer it for free. So don't feel like you have to pay to get this kind of help. Now, this is very geographically biased, because if you're lucky enough to be close to an in-person event, meeting that person that could potentially become your mentor in person first, introducing yourself, and then asking them to become a mentor is easier than probably reaching some people online who get a lot of messages that just don't have time to respond to all the time. But I would say, nevertheless, reach out to someone and see if maybe you find a good match. Because if it's maybe just a confidence thing or kind of bouncing off ideas, mentorship should be enough. And if you have something very specific, I would say probably find a specialist who's good enough in what you want to achieve doing, and reach to them to ask if they do coaching in that area. Maybe you don't have to look for a coach to get coaching from someone who's an SEO. That's a couple of ideas.
Amazing advice. What about you? Any thoughts on mentors?
I would say that maybe you have to define what you want for mentorship. You can get help with your professional career or mainly focus on SEO. I don't know if we are talking about both or maybe just one of the sides of the mentorship or coaches and so on. So you have to you have to find what you need and what you lack, and then find the right person for it. But I really, yeah, it's a really good option if you find a really good coach that can help you with a personalized help and a really good roadmap.
Amazing. I spent a fortune on these kind of things. And I think what Natalia said is it's so important to find the right person in the first place and maybe try and have a few sessions or spend a bit of time with that person before committing to quite a long period. I think it was about 15 years ago. I initially worked with Paddy Mugan and Tom Anthony at Distilled, and they helped train me and do lots of stuff. And that was for years. And they were just incredible. And then later on, when I started in my own business, I reached out to Lisa Myers, who is now Lisa Porsche. I can never say her surname correctly, but I think it's Porsche, who again was absolutely incredible. She sold Verve Search, and I could see that she had just sold. So I thought I'd reach out, and I didn't know her personally. So I think that's actually something that's quite good, is very well. But it was quite nice actually reaching out to somebody who I respected and knew from events and so on, but I didn't know personally, so they weren't biased towards my feelings and all of that stuff, which was great. I have before reached out to other people who obviously I won't name, but people that say you really look up to and so on, and it just hasn't worked. So I think having what Natalia said about finding that right person and just making sure there is something there. They say you should never meet your heroes. And I remember there was one in particular who it was particularly if they don't offer coaching or mentorship in the first place, they might not be set up to do it. And so if you reach out to them, which I did with Lisa, and it was amazing, but I've reached out to others and it hasn't. So it's important just to make sure there is that structure and it's actually going to help you. I found that when I first started working with Paddy and Tom, at that point, I just created like websites and just tried to get traffic and read the odd thing on somewhere like Moz and so on, but hadn't had that kind of structured training. And those guys were based at Distilled at the time. And I personally felt like Distilled was one of the best agencies and I loved their conferences. I felt like they could get me somewhere a lot quicker. And that's why I worked with them. And the same thing with Lisa. She just sold a business and I'd started one. So I felt like maybe she could save me a bit of time. So finding those mentors that can help you achieve what you want, hopefully a bit faster. Joe, do we have anything in the chat?
Yeah, we do. Karina is saying ask your company because you can bill it in as a training cost. And Julie also said it's one of the best investments. So Mark, thank you. He shared the mentorship from the Women in Tech SEO. Abera's also said that there's WTS mentorship and FCDC mentorship. That really helped Abera. We also have a book from Jonathan. He said it was very good. It's in the chat, mbs.works. It was really good about if you're unsure about what you like doing and you want to have help figure it out. That's a great one as well. Of course, a couple of little jokes here. Ask ChatGPT to do the Clifton trends for you. That would be interesting, though, to see what that comes back with. And just around, just confirming what people have said in the show. So Abera saying, completely agree with you, Natalia. Many great folks in the industry have helped her a lot. Shout out to, myself. Oh, thanks, Abera. Aleda, Arij, and many more. Jordan said he went to a talk by Daniel Priestley around this topic, and he suggests that when we look for mentors, they should be just a bit slightly above where we are trying to be in terms of personal and professional development, and then changing when you reach that step. So that's quite a good point, Jordan. We don't have a mentor like forever. They can help us to get to a certain point, and then you can reach out to somebody else.
If you don't mind, I would like to add something
because
we must think that this is not a course like a standard course. So it's something like for every person. So you must be ready to do some really honest work on yourself and know where do you want to go and what kind of person, SEO professional you want to be. And then you will have to face a lot of questions about yourself, but you have to be ready for it and do the work. So I think you have to have that in mind when you are approaching a mentor or you want to do it.
That's a very good point, David. So yeah, you do need to assess yourself first and see where you want to be going. That's why I also suggest the Clifton Strengths. Of course, there's other ones that you can do. This one helped me considerably. And just going around by a few other comments here. I really believe that people actually should look at a mentorship program before they need one. So it's something that I only looked at a few years ago, but I probably should have started doing that after leaving maybe formal education. Loads of comments here. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. This is a good question.
Sometimes it also doesn't need to be that official, right? It can also be, maybe it's your boss or it's somebody in your company that you respect and you just catch up with on a regular basis. It doesn't necessarily need to be as official as a whole program if you're worried about price or something like that.
Yeah.
And biographies are really good, and podcasts and all of those things as well. You can get lots from just from free via or listening.
I'd also just say, just on to what Mike said, if you are working in a company, you should have a PDP, a personal development program. It can be called something else depending on the company, but every company should have that. And when you have one-to-one with your manager, they should be aware, they should be working on that with you. So it's not just about what are you achieving, like the goals for the company, but what are you achieving in terms of career development? So I would say in companies, there should be this learning and development program so that you can be seeing what are you doing on your day-to-day work that's actually going to help you for your career development in the future.
Super. Okay, next question. If people are seeing your site but not clicking, how do you optimize for memorability? If being seen isn't enough anymore, how do you make sure you are remembered? Who would like to kick off on this one? I always look for some sort of reaction. No one's giving me anything. David, go for it.
Yeah, I can go. It's a difficult one. I guess you must start, must not forget SERPs. So you must optimize title tags, meta description, and go beyond semantics, and think about motion and talk and tone and your brand and talking to your user. But then you must expand your presence beyond search, because brand memorability requires like a multi-channel strategy, not only SERP optimization. So be visible on social media, podcasts, YouTube, be recognition by showing up consistently across multiple platforms. And a site is remembered because it solves a problem, not because it's favicon, appear, whatever. So memorability is trust, is loyalty, is identity, is community. And we must remember that our ultimate goal, or I think that, is turning generic informational searches into branded navigational searches. So the user looks specifically for our brand. So with that said, you have to work on that.
Amazing. Natalia, do you have anything to add?
Agreed with what David said, and I'm gonna look at that question from a different angle. And I'm gonna say, analyzing word for word what's been asked, it's almost, what does it mean you are seen? What is seen? Is it your website being seen but not clicked, but something else about your brand is being seen? Is it AI result that someone saw because it came up in search and they never clicked on the result in the AI, search GPT, whatever? Because you have to redefine what you measure, how you measure it, if you can measure, because obviously not everything is measurable yet, and what it means for your business and what stage of the journey it is, and what is your business model. Because being visible in AI for some businesses is enough. They don't need a click to thrive as a business. As SEO consultants, we don't need to have visits to our website for people to see us as the consultant. Someone can get in touch directly to you via LinkedIn and never come to your website, and you've already completed the goal. If you're an e-commerce website, you cannot really be seen without visit to your product page. Now, the product page doesn't have to be your website. It can be Google Shopping, right? So I think about your business model, about what does it mean to you to be seen, and what does it mean for you to meet the goal of a user, and what is the user journey. And if you define that, I think you're either on a site that will thrive, or if you're an informational website that basically monetizes by ads, you might be in trouble, because being seen is everything there.
Amazing. Joe, what about you? Do you have any thoughts on being remembered or memorability?
Yes, your brand. Remember your brand. We've been talking about that. We spoke about that also a few episodes ago. We spoke about that search Barcelona. It's really important to, how can you be seen? It is about your brand. There's many different products. There's many different services in the industry, but how do you distinguish yourself? from others. It's what you represent, be a strong brand. In terms of, and going back in the question, seeing your site but not clicking, I would say, I believe maybe they're referring to Google Search Console, where maybe they're seeing impressions and not clicks. That could be one thing. Going back to what Natalia said about, I believe, the product pages, look and drill down specifically on when you say being seen but not clicked. Have a look at that. Where are you getting these impressions and no clicks? How has that changed over time? Is it because of seasonality? For example, if you're obviously a toy company, maybe you're getting visibility, but people are not clicking. Most people might be clicking more in the run up to some events like a Christmas. Or for example, if you're selling t-shirts or different products for the summer, you may see obviously a lot more of that in the summer months, but not really in winter. So I think we'll need a bit more specifics from it. But going back to the overall, my one piece of advice for this one is, make sure that you build your brand. That's how you can make sure that you are remembered. And the brand is, what is your USP, so that people choose you over somebody else. You're muted, Mike.
Sorry, and do we have anything in the chat?
Yes, we have quite a lot in the chat, actually. Simon says, either be brilliant or horrible. Just don't be average. AI. Haha, Simon. We've also got Victoria says, depending, of course, on what this is, but you could work on your copy. Make sure that this is one of your USPs. Make sure that you've got great copy that people want to come back to if you're a blog or a news site. Rob was asking, how are they seeing it without clicking? And Simon also said, of course, it's all about brand building. Jordan saying, preach, Natalia. David, I was saying about LinkedIn engine optimization. That's a good one as well. Jeff also said, look at that increase in branded search in Google Search Console. Good point about that. And then Julia sent some examples of how you could actually filter by that. And Jonathan said to consider your positioning. And he shared a book, actually, Product Positioning. That was great. Thank you. Jonathan has loads of books to share. Thank you, Jonathan. And I also just wanted to say thanks everyone for joining us today, because we've only got sort of 15 minutes left. If you are, well, I'm sure you are enjoying the show. So click a like on the YouTube on our video after the show is finished. You can click a like on the other videos that you've been to, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Those that are just watching the recording, as yes, I know this time doesn't work for everyone. If you are available at 9:30 a.m. BST, do click on subscribe on Good Signals SEO office hours so that Mike can send you the link. The link to join is, go to the homepage and you will see a button that says get an invite, calendar invite, and just write your details. We don't spam you, we just send you the calendar invite.
You say that, Simon's going to be rolling his eyes. You send us a lot of calendar messages.
Just to remind everyone's so busy, so fine.
Yeah. Okay, great. I agree with what everybody said in terms of memorability or be remembered. Do things that are creative. I was trying to find a Sex Pistols quote about not being beige, but couldn't find it. But anyway, do that. Do cool campaigns, do things that are creative. Make sure your products have more interesting things than everybody else, and give people reasons to keep coming back. I'm going to suggest a book. It's this one from one of the founders of Karmarama, blah, blah, blah. I definitely recommend that. It's almost the perfect book for this. And the guy that used to own it is now an artist. He's AKA Hackney Dave. I think you couldn't stand out more than this person. So definitely do that. Yeah, maybe we need a book club. Okay, next question. How are we doing for time? You said we've got... No one's commented on the white t-shirts, by the way. Everyone got the memo this morning on that. Okay, we're a small startup and originally signed on with an SEO agency for £500 a month. I wasn't seeing much progress, so I pushed back and immediately dropped the price to £250. That's made me question the value and what we should realistically expect for that sort of budget. What should we be getting? What would good look like at this level? Natalia, £250, £500. What would that get me?
1,000.
Going one.
This is a really tricky question that I don't really know how to take. We assume maybe that person is from the UK, so maybe it's easier to understand the geographical implication, but like everywhere in the world, prices just mean something else. So I'll leave that question to David.
Okay, David?
Thank you, Natalia. It's really difficult with 250. The agency's time is limited. You need to ensure they focus on the highest O activities for you, but you're likely getting only a few hours of SEO's time each month, depending on the agency rates. You will be losing their focus, and you really don't want that. So you have someone that can implement, maybe I would focus more of like a consultancy, so they can help with the strategy and then you can implement, because with only 250 or 500 a month, it's really difficult, even if I sympathize with small budgets and small businesses. I really don't know what to say or else to say.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Joe, do you want to go?
No, you go first. It's fine.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, really. And I think it is really difficult. But I think based on a lot of SEOs I know, that's not a lot of money in terms of time. And a lot of SEOs tend to do things by time. And with this industry, I find that you can easily start looking at something and then you start carrying on. And it's very easy when you're investigating something to spend an hour on that. If there aren't any major problems, I personally would spend that probably on a really good copywriter or a really good designer who also charge quite a lot of money as well. But you might get 4 or 5 hours of somebody writing something really good and investigating something in your industry, providing your website's accessible and it works and all of that stuff. Yeah. Joe, do you have any thoughts?
I think that for this question, it's saying that I wasn't seeing, he says it, or she says, I wasn't seeing much progress. So I just would like to stress that when you have help from anyone, it's really important to have a brief of what are you looking for and what are you looking for help with. And that SEO consultant or SEO agency should be able to say what they can do with this amount of time. It's a small budget, so it's quite difficult to be able to do loads with that. I would actually go back to actually Rob's advice. He says the best thing to do would be provide the URL. When you ask these questions, you'll get quite a lot of feedback here about that. But yeah, I'll be very specific with what do you need help with the agency. As Mike said, if you don't have much budget, then it might be good to be like, okay, we need advice in X, Y, and Z area. And then we, the company, because we have low budget, can actually go into the implementation, because it may be better for you to have a consultant to give you like more advice, and then you guys take the majority of the work and implement it yourselves.
Great. I totally agree with Rob, by the way. This is one of the reasons we carried on doing office hours, was basically not everybody has the budget to hire an agency or a freelancer. And so if you come here with specific problems and share URLs, not only do you get 4 amazing SEOs, but you get another 35, 30 people who are also amazing when it comes to SEO, all looking at your website, and will very quickly give you some recommendations that you can then get a copywriter or whoever you need to then go and work on, or even do it yourself. So yeah, feel free to use this however you like. At the moment, there is no end date. You're welcome to every week submit something if you want. And providing it's not the same question every week. For those of you that don't know, behind the scenes, I get lots of questions that maybe we've already answered them. So I'll send them to an old video, or if it's not really suitable for an entire audience, I'll just very quickly have a look and then respond as well. So it's very rare that you wouldn't get a response unless you're a little bit rude. But at the same time, we had that last week and I read out, there were lots of swear words and so on in that rant. Yeah, even that we'll still go with. Okay, we've got 9 minutes.
Yeah. I just wanted to say another couple of points actually on this one, because
go for it.
because thanks everyone for for adding to this question. So Mark has said that small budgets, execution is everything. Couldn't agree more. If it's an agency, they have lots of people there. There's always some cost going to be into the glue and the systems to keep all of these people, of course, working together. But if you have a smaller budget, he recommends going with like a freelancer for those particular rates. In his experience, you would get more action and less management planning, reporting, etc. So that could help you a lot more. And Favor, good point, was saying that it depends on how long you've had them to do the SEO work for you and what changes you're expecting from them. So goes back to the brief. What did you ask them to do? What maybe are you needing more assistance, or what do you
any corporate business for 5
lacking with at the moment? What are you lacking with, and what do you need help with? And yeah, we've got loads of comments here. So thanks very much. I'll pass over back to Mike. Oh, thanks.
Sorry, if you heard anything from my computer, I was just looking for a podcast that person was on who I recommended. Quite a character, but amazing interviews. Yeah, anyway. Okay, next question. Spotted a site showing up in AI overviews. Normally, I wouldn't touch it for link building. It's got a proper spammy vibe. Anyone else seeing this? Given the visibility, though, should we be trying to get featured anyway? What do you think?
I wouldn't go for it. AI reviews as like classic SEO results, search results can make mistakes. If you see that they don't have good reasons to have that kind of visibility and you are not sure about the site health, I wouldn't really go for it for that link.
Yeah. Natalia, if you see it in the AI overviews, would you try and get featured on that page? Even if you think it's not, I wouldn't touch that from a link building perspective.
AI overviews seem to be easily manipulated, more easily than SERPs. And I think very recent, I don't want to call it experiment, but there's been a game between some SEOs trying to get featured as top SEO expert list. And really quickly, it was very easy to do. And I think just seeing that result shows us how this is not something long term we should be aiming for, and how Google will refine that system, because the more that things happen, the easier it is to spot, the more likely there will be mechanisms in place to filter that out. So treat this result there as something temporary. Actually, it also might be, but because you click on this result, your AI overview might come back with the same result because you've seemed to have interacted with it. So also there's a bias there, because when we were doing that experiment with a WhatsApp group we shared what we see on our screenshots, and we had completely different results for AI overviews sometimes. And also, if you repeat the same query, there will be a couple of versions that just swap around. So don't feel like this is the only result that everyone sees and you should be there. It's one of the options that you've interacted with, obviously. So you can be reading that wrong. And I would just say, maybe check out what ranks also in the top traditional SERP and see if there's any overlap. And if there isn't, I'll probably more look into the standard ranking sources because they are less volatile, at least at this time.
Great advice. Yeah, I agree. I think you could spend your time doing something else. If you don't really think you want your brand featured there, I wouldn't bother. And like Natalia said, it's probably only temporary anyway. Joe, do you have anything to add before we jump on to the last question?
No, I would just say nothing major for this. I really appreciate what everyone has said already. I just like to emphasize the fact that we shouldn't always jump on the AI bandwagon. Look about your resources and see what you can and cannot do. And just because there's something there, don't think, oh, I need to be doing it. I think it's important to educate yourself, of course, around AI, put that into your strategy. But just because someone's appearing in AI overviews, don't think, oh, I've got to do that a second now. Think about your strategy as overall and plan to incorporate AI into your marketing.
Amazing. We're going to hit our final question because we've only got a couple of minutes left, which is our regular question. What are you most excited about in terms of SEO? I imagine both of you are excited about Search Central Live. But Natalia, what are you excited about in terms of SEO?
I'm excited about the fact that SEO has been renamed, but it's coming back to be renamed SEO again. It's not geo anymore, because I think people are getting to terms that the same old good practice still really works. And I'm excited to straighten that out so people stop introducing new shortened versions and keep the correct name. SEO. SEO is SEO. It will be SEO forever.
David, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO?
I'm worried about this new hack experience we are living, like in related to what just Natalia said, but I want to try to be positive. So I'm excited to be more about what SEO really is, and I will try to focus my energy on that.
Great. And Joe, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO?
I'm excited about just, yeah, let's focus on the facts of what there is. Look at the data. There's a lot of data coming out. Everyone's very, very generous with sharing what they have done. And I'm excited to be able to get the insights from that to then make informed decisions.
Amazing. And I'm excited about events. I'm just seeing what you say, Joe. We're going to stop there. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. Thank you to those who've joined us and watched live. Thank you to those watching after on YouTube. David, Natalia, thank you so much for your time and sharing your expertise. Joe, thank you so much for co-hosting. And thank you to those who submitted questions. We'll be back next week. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mike, Natalia, and David. And thanks everyone for regularly coming back to SEO office hours. We've had, I think, over 30 people today. So thank you.
Hey, thank you so much.
You.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.